Welcome to Checks and Balances, brought to you by Lighthouse. I'm Michael Vincent. This is James Blair. And today we've got a listener question. I'm moving to another city. What should I do with my house? Rent, buy, sell, hold? What do I do?
We're back in your life, and today we've got a listener question. Mike, I would like to make this a regular part of the show. So if you do have a question about your situation, something you would like us to talk about, please let us know. Very important to point out that Mike and I are both financial advisors, so we're not giving personalized advice. We're going to be talking about the concepts. Mike, would you like to hear the question?
Yeah.
Me and my husband and 2 young children are moving from Wellington to Christchurch soon. We are going to sell our home in Wellington, and I was wondering what your advice would be for when we arrive in Christchurch. Would it be better to buy straight away, or if we rent for a while, get a feel for the suburbs, where we want to live? What shall we do with the profits of our house in the interim if we're renting? It will be at least a couple $100,000, if not more. I'm aware the housing market may go up over that period of time, so that doesn't worry me too much when I think about renting for a year. Interested to hear your thoughts and what you do if you were in our shoes. Happy for you to answer this question on the podcast. Just keep us anonymous. No worries, anonymous.
Cool. All right. So you asked me, what would I do? Yeah. Generally speaking, if you are moving cities or if you are thinking about kind of selling, I would just make sure you sell and buy in the same market. Now you're selling and buying in different geographical locations. Wellington is going through a different kind of period in the market than Christchurch is. First thing I would do would be to consult a real estate agent about selling your property in Wellington. How much do you think you're going to get? What is the likelihood of you being able to do this? And you know, if you're speaking to 3 agents and one says you're going to get $1 million and the other 2 say 850, it's going to be 850. It's not going to be $1 million. And I would sell and buy. Yep, I wouldn't hold. I wouldn't rent it, especially if you're going to be in Christchurch for a long time.
So you would sell and buy. I guess the question is also going, especially with a couple kids, is thinking about school zones, those sort of things. We know that the people in Christchurch are particularly choosy about their suburbs. Yeah. Mike, there's the risk if they buy straight away, though, that once they kind of find their feet in the area, they go, actually, we don't want to be here. We want to be in a different area.
I'm not saying you had to sell and buy before you went, but I would sell and buy very quickly. Like I mean, roughly speaking, if you're moving to a city, generally speaking, you know where you're going, or you've been to the city before. It's not going to be your first time stepping off the plane onto the tarmac. You should know and have some plan around where you want to live, what schools you want your kids to go to. I would get on and do it. I can't see the Wellington market picking up anytime soon. Christchurch has held on a little bit firmer. This is straying dangerously close to personalized financial advice, but I would be selling and buying.
We're talking about key concepts, right?
Yeah.
And that's the big thing, is that everybody's situation is different. And if it was black and white, it would be very easy to answer. And I'm not quite convinced about what you're saying either, to be honest, Mike. What about the option of renting your property in Wellington for, say, 12, 24 months, renting in Christchurch for 12, 24 months? So you've still got, you're still on the property ladder, just so you feel more confident when you do make the decision.
Yeah, I'm again, like, it comes down to the individual situation, right? I just think that your Christchurch, for me, is a firmer market with probably a bit more. I think you're going to see price rises quicker in Christchurch than you will in Wellington. And so you'd want to get out of Wellington and into Christchurch ASAP.
Okay, just to challenge you though, we're buying investment properties. We're buying in Wellington. We're not buying in Christchurch. Why are we buying in Wellington?
Because they are cheap.
Yep. And what do we think will happen one day?
They will go up. However, these are investment properties, not owner-occupied properties. And I would argue that if you're going to clear a couple of $100,000 and you want a good, decent place in Christchurch, you're going to want to buy sooner rather than later. A bird in the hand is worth 2 in the something, or whatever the phrase is.
Bushes and birds, something like that.
I don't know.
Stones?
Birds and bees. The certainty is what I would be after with a family and with kids. And I would say I'd take the 200 grand, go get a really decent place in Christchurch, and wait for the markets to move. You've actually lived through this because you were in Auckland and had to move to Wellington for a period of time.
And then came back.
So I want to know what you're going to do, and we're going to jump into that after the break.
So this listener question is great, but obviously is complicated. That's why there are mortgage brokers to help you make these decisions.
And if you are thinking about moving cities, selling a house, buying a house, should you rent it out, and you want some professional advice, get in touch with Lighthouse Mortgages. We can put you on the right path. So click the link below. Now, back to the show. So James, you had a house in Auckland. You got another job in Wellington, had to uplift, and you and Hannah had to go down there. What did you do in that situation?
I rented out the property in Auckland.
Yep.
And bought a house to live in Wellington.
All
so
right,
I kind of got to have my cake and eat it too. The thing is, your money goes so much further, especially we're talking, it's like 2018. Your money goes so much further in Wellington than it like does in Auckland. I'd watch the ferries go past. I was on it was like a
hill?
Yeah, a hill in Wellington, looking south. Nobody educated me on the southerlies in Wellington. Did I tell you about the first night I lived there?
No.
We bought some beautiful outdoor furniture and just laid it out on the deck. And then about 3 a.m., Hannah and I just start hearing this. And it's the glass getting hit by the bloody table and by the chairs. It was a great property. Looked over the water. It was beautiful.
Quick point there to James's point about renting before you buy. Well, I'm saying you should know where you want to go, where you want to live. James is saying, but yeah, there's still uniqueness to the city that you might want to find out by living there before you go and buy, right? Like you might think if you were to move back to Wellington now, would you buy a house on a cliff facing south? You know what I mean?
Yeah. The interesting one though was when we moved back to Auckland.
Yeah, and you kept the Wellington property and the Auckland property and bought another one?
No, we did sell the Wellington property and we sold it during lockdown.
Yeah.
So it was the days where real estate agents thought it was funny to go like, we'll give you toilet paper with the house because there was the
shortage.
The shortage of toilet paper. So we sold our property during lockdown and then we went and bought in Auckland and we lost 4 or 5 auctions. I mean, over that period of time was when interest rates just fell off a cliff.
Yeah.
And the market got really hot. And I did start to really worry. I was like, oh no, we've sold. The market's moving. We might be in a bit of trouble here.
Yeah, cool. So if we summarize our points, let's think about this. James and I are differing slightly on the strategy and the timings, but fundamentally our advice is the same, right? Which is do not sell and be out of the market. It is usually sell and buy in the same market. Or if you are going to hold on, rent that property out. But if you're renting that one out, both of us probably agree you should probably do a little bit of due diligence about where you're living first, right? So renting might be a good strategy. Even for 6 months, just be like, do I want to live in the suburb? What are the houses like around me?
Yeah, and I think the fact that, I've got a kid as well definitely gives me a different perspective on like the areas and those sort of things and stability. The other bit I would talk about within that question is I've got 200 grand. What would I do with it? One thing I see people do, which is a horrible idea, is they're like, I've sold my house. I've got some cash. I'll throw it in the stock market or into crypto or something for a year, then pull it back out and buy a house. Bad idea. Why? Look at the stock market over the last couple of months. Look at cryptos. Bitcoin's dropped like 20%. Assets can be incredibly volatile in the short term. So if you've got a 12, 24, 36 month time frame, you should not be investing into long-term assets like shares, crypto, whatever. You should be keeping it in cash, term deposits. It is depressing. You do not get a return, but you need that money to be there when you do want to make a move in the short term.
100%. So thank you for the listener question. Keep them rolling and we'll try and answer them without giving personalized advice or straying into that lane. James, sign us off.
Awesome. Much love to Lighthouse for sponsoring this episode. Please subscribe to the channel so you can keep writing in your listener questions. Give us a review, give us a like, and we'll catch you next time.
Cheers.